Actually, today we are talking about physical and logical replication in PostgreSQL. I would like to briefly introduce myself. I'm Firat Gulec. I'm infrastructure and database manager of the Hepsi Express, which is a transportation company. We are doing in the same day delivery in the Turkey. I'm from Istanbul. I'm the member of the Europe, PostgreSQL Europe. Also, I'm contributing to the open source community and PostgreSQL in the last 3 years. My next talk is Swiss in June, and I will be Austria in September. I hope you meet you there. Okay, our agenda is it's pretty crowded. I'm going to talk about what is replication, why we need that, how many replication layers we have, what is physical replication, what is logical replication coming with the Postgres 10, what is new features, and at the end, I'm going to show you how to monitoring physical and logical replication. And lastly, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. It's a very small game, and we're going to play. I'm going to give you some gifts to you guys, okay? Okay, let's start. What is replication? First of all, we need a DB. We need a DB to read and write. We called primary DB. We called master DB. Replication is copying of data changes from one DB to another DB. It could be at the same location. It could be at the different locations, different cities, different countries. The server that keep track changes from the master, we call slave DB. We call standby DB. The data goes from master to slave. It could be the one slave. It could be the more than one slave. The bad thing about it, the more slave you're going to put, you consume more bandwidth between master and slave. Also, there is a term in PostgreSQL, which is cascading replication. We can create slave from the slave servers. Okay, I'm going to cover this topic in the later slides. Okay, replication layers. Actually, doing replication itself is a very easy thing, okay? But defining which solution you're going to implement and which layer you're going to implement is a difficult thing, okay? After that, doing replication is a very easy thing. We can do replication on different layers. We can do replication on the hardware layer by using SUN or NAS. We can use replication. We can do replication on operating system layer. It is the most popular one, DRBD. We do replication on database layer, such as streaming replication and logical replication. We do replication on application layer. These are the most popular ones. This 3 in the red circle, it runs on the DB. The other one is the PG pool. It runs on the middleware. But in today, actually, I'm going to explain built-in physical and logical replication. Because you don't need external software, you don't need external hardware. The only thing you do, you just download to Postgres. It's a built-in function. It's come through with the built-in Postgres, okay? And it is very easy to implement, and it is very popular in PostgreSQL world. Okay, you would like to make a replication, but you don't know where to start. Yes, I'm going to get this matrix from the postgresql.org. It shows you not only the built-in solutions, but also it shows you external solutions. You're going to see all the replication features from that matrix. For example, I would like to do the database replication layer. I'm going to make a replication on database layer. And I know this is the write-ahead log on the database layer. And it is the common implementation of write-ahead log is streaming replication. And it is a communication method. It says the wall. And it says no spatial hardware required. And it says no master overhead. You can see all the features from this matrix, okay? Before deciding which solution you're going to implement, I recommend you to look at this matrix. Okay, I'm going to explain 2 replication. First one is this physical replication. Second one is the logical replication. First one, we're going to start with the physical replication. I'm going to explain streaming replication because, remember from the matrix, the most common implementation is the built-in streaming replication. That's why I'm going to explain the streaming replication on the physical replication. We have two purposes for the streaming replication. First one is a high availability. We're going to create our slave server. It is in the recovery mode. It is in case of failover, you can send your request to your slave, and you can continue your operation without any interruptions. Second purpose of the streaming replication is load balancing. Actually, Postgres itself doesn't have load balancing system. Without any external tools, you have to write down hard-coded which resource you're going to use, okay? But with the external tools, like a pgpull2, it does automatically. When it gets the read-only queries, it sends to slave or the other slaves. It's up to your configuration. You can do automatically, okay? Okay, to understand what is physical replication, you have to understand milestone of the physical replication. We have some milestones. First one is the file-based, and then streaming replication, and one minor version later, there is a synchronous replication, and since Postgres 10, there is a Quorum commit. Okay, let's start with the architecture of the streaming replication, then we're going to cover all of these topics, okay? Actually, we have to understand communication method between master and slave. Communication method from the matrix, maybe you remember that, communication method is the wall. Wall means wall holds all your transaction, all your insert, delete, updates, okay? Each of them has a 16 megabyte and it is located at PG wall directory. If your setting archive mode is off, just your master creates a few wall files and recycle it. We are always thinking that archive mode is on, okay, because we are doing the streaming application. We really need the WAV files for two important reasons. First one is the first one is the replication. Second one is for the point-in-time recovery, for the backup, okay? And when we are thinking that archive mode is on, and also if you would like to do the WAV archiving, we can create just a directory, and we can send these WAV files to there, okay? It is very simple architecture. There's two main processes. First one is the WAV sender. Second one is the WAV receiver on the slave. You just send the WAV files through this way, okay? WAV sender sends the WAV, and WAV receiver catches the WAV and writes it to the PG WAV directory. Okay, what is the file base? In the file base, since Postgres 8.3, slave have to wait the WAV file to be filled from the master. And after fill out to this WAV file up to 16 megabyte, it goes the other way at a time, okay? The bad thing, in case of failover, slave have to lose that WAV file haven't shipped yet, okay? What is streaming replication? Streaming replication is record-based log shipping. It is much more updated, more than the file-based log shipping, okay? It is like this WAV file goes the other way. When something transaction has happened in here, it directly follow this way and goes the other way, okay? It is streaming. Actually, your major versions of the Postgres should be the same on the master and slave. And if you are using the 64-bit, you have to use the 64-bit on the slave server, okay? Your bit systems should be the same. What is synchronous? Okay, you would like to do the streaming replication, you have to decide two important things. You're going to do this streaming replication async or sync. Second is you're going to use the slave hot standby mode or the warm standby mode. What is async or sync? Async is simple. Your transaction is going on, and then after a while, slave server keep track your change. But the sync mode is a write transaction on the master have to wait until the confirmation is received from the both master and slave has written the file in the log file on the disk, okay? And the good thing about the sync, it is a transaction happening here. It is guaranteed in the slave, in the transaction log on the disk. But the bad thing about the sync, under the heavy load, it really increased the response time because you have to wait until the confirmation is received. Good thing about the async, it is super fast. Master is going on and doesn't have to wait for the ending. But the bad thing about the async is you're going to lose, in case of failover, you're going to lose the files haven't shipped yet to the other side. Okay? But I would like to say this. Streaming replication as a default as async, okay? Not synchronous. It is async. But the delay between master and slave, it is very, very minimal. It is under the seconds. It is like a millisecond, okay? It is very minimal. Okay, second decision is I'm going to use the slave as a hot standby mode or the warm standby mode. What is it? I can use the slave. It is in the recovery mode right now. I can use the slave for the read-only queries, okay? If you like to use the slave for the read-only queries, I can setting hot standby mode is on. Warm standby is, okay, you can create this slave server, and you don't want to use for the read-only queries. Just you want to use for failover. In case of failover, you can switch over this slave, and you can continue your operation without any interruptions. But you can't use for the read-only queries, okay? This is the only difference. Okay, what is Quorum commit since Postgres 10? In the traditional way, just the one slave server can be synced to the master, okay? But since Postgres 10, it has changed. You can be sync master more than one slave. For example, it says I have 3 slaves, and first 2, slave 1 and slave 2, is a high priority, okay? On the transactional basis, you have to sync slave 1 and slave 2. Slave 3 is, it could be async, okay? This means I have 3 slaves, and you're going to be the sync n of 2 them, okay? And the 3 is, it could be the async on a transactional base. Okay, it is very easy to making the streaming replication. There's just 6 steps. First one, create a user, then configuration for the master, and then authentication. And then fourth is the configuration for the slave, synchronization, and create recovery conf file on the slave. Okay, I have a few important parameters. One of them is the vol level, okay? I'm going to talk about this. What is, it determines, vol file, it determines how much information going to write into the vol file. When you set vol file minimal, it just writes information, enough information to recovery, for recovery. If you are giving the replica, it means I'm going to doing the streaming replication. That's why I'm giving the replica. If you like to do the logical replication, I'm going to explain to you, and you're going to set the logical, okay? Vol standard, max vol standard is a very easy thing. It decides how many vol standard going to run on the master. It is briefly, if you have 3 slaves, this value have to be at least 3. If you have 2 slaves, this value have to be 2, okay? Okay, this is the most important parameters, vol keep segment. Right now, we are in the PG vol directory. When your setting archive mode is on, your master continues to generate vol files and writing into the PG vol directory, okay? And this is the files that all of them is we call vol segment, which is 16 megabytes, okay? It is really important files. If it actually decides how many past log file gonna be at the PG vol directory, okay? How many files gonna be at the PG vol directory, it decides. For example, when you give vol keep segment 10, you're gonna see the 10 vol files in that vol, in that directory. If you are given 20, you're gonna see the 20 files in that directory, okay? It is very important parameters because the slave server connected to master, if fall behind, fall behind than the master might remove some WoW file still needed by the slave, and the replication between master and slave gonna be terminated. Okay, that's the important thing. Also, you can use the physical replication slot. I'm gonna cover all later. Okay, we have 6 steps. First one is the create a user. Okay, first we're gonna change our user Postgres, and then we are saying I'm gonna create user. His name is replica. I'm gonna use this for the replication. It is login purpose, and then it is the password. And you're gonna check with the DU, you're gonna create this user, create or not. Okay. And second is configuration for master. You're gonna give, I'm gonna doing the streaming application. That's why I'm gonna give the replica. And then vol keep segment is the 20. It means it's gonna be the 20 vol file in the PG vol directory. And max vol sender is the 3. It's gonna be the maximum 3 vol sender. Okay. And then 3 slaves maximum. 2 or 1 can be. And archive mode is on. I'm doing the replication. That's why I would like to continuously generate the vol files. And I would like to do the vol archiving. That's why I'm created this path. And then I'm writing in these locations. It means after you're gonna keep the 20 file in the vol file, and the rest of them you're gonna vol archiving. Send the vol archiving directory, it means, okay? Okay, what is the PG-HP conf file for the master? It is for the authentication. You're gonna write this row to the master, to able to, your standby gonna connect to the master. It says, okay, my slave is the host. It is for the replication. It's gonna use replica user. And my slave server's IP is this, and my slave server gonna use username and password, MD5 means, okay? Okay, for this, the configuration for the slave, the only things to do to make a hot standby, you're gonna just, in the Postgres conf file, you're gonna just set the hot standby is on, okay? You don't need to set these or, but in case of failover, your slave server will be the master, okay? That's why you're gonna set these things like a master. Because today's slaves gonna be tomorrow is the master, right? That's why we're gonna set these settings also on the slave servers. Okay, we are coming to last. Fifth thing is the synchronization. You're gonna install same version like a master, same major version on the slave, and then you're gonna stop your slave server, and then move existing vol file. All things to do, you run this command on your slave. What does it mean? PG base backup. You're gonna connect to master, you're gonna give the host, it means the host. You're gonna get the data file directory from this path. You're gonna show me the process, what you are doing right now, and you're gonna user, it means the you is the user, you're gonna use the replica user, and vol method you're gonna use is the fetch. It means at the end of the backup, you're gonna get all vol files at one time, okay? Okay, last thing is that you just recovery conf file on the slave server. You're gonna set the standby mode is on. You're gonna give the information about the IP port and username and password. And then you are doing the vol archiving. That's why you are writing the vol archive directory in here. And then trigger file. In this case, we are skip it. But in case of failover, you can use the for trigger something, okay? Okay, and then when you run this command in PSQL, and you're gonna see this output. When you're gonna see this output, okay, your streaming replication is done, okay? Okay, I'm gonna talk about a little bit the streaming cascading replication. We can create slave server from the slaves because we would like to minimize the inner bandwidth between master and slave, okay? Also, the other advantages is don't have to establish a direct connection to master, okay? The slave servers that connects to the direct master, we call upstream slaves. The slave servers that they connect to the slave, we call downstream slaves. Creating cascading replication is very easy, like a streaming application. All you have to do is last 4 steps of streaming application. When you're doing these steps that I mentioned to you, it is the same process, okay? Creating cascading replication. You can do async or sync streaming replication, but you have to be async in cascading replication, okay? You have to be this sync mode in cascading replication. Okay, this is the most important parameter I'm gonna put to last. Sometimes you have to cancel your queries on the slave. You need to, okay? This parameter determines how long your queries, your slave gonna wait before canceling queries, okay? You have to cancel some queries on the slave because sometimes there's a conflict between master and slave. For example, performance conflicts. Your master specification do not be the same as your slave specification. For example, your master can be the 8 cores, your slave can be the 2 cores, okay? Under the have load, all the vol stream comes to your slave, and your slave servers sometimes doesn't handle this load. That's why you have to be cancel some queries, okay? Okay, we're done with the physical replication. Let's move to the logical replication, is the second thing. Actually, I'm gonna explain the logical replication while I'm comparing to streaming application to you understand you guys, okay? I'm gonna split up the page into 2 pieces. At the bottom, I'm gonna explain the streaming replication. At the top, I'm gonna explain the logical replication to understand you better, okay? In streaming replication, we're gonna transfer whole cluster to other side, okay? You can't do partial replication. And logical replication, you can do partial replication. You just can replicate one of your database. Or you just can replicate one of your table of your databases, okay? The bad thing about the streaming replication, it consumes lots of bandwidth because you're gonna transfer whole your cluster. The good thing about the logical replication, you just consume the bandwidth what you transfer, maybe just a table. In streaming replication, your slave is the recovery mode. What does it mean? You can create index, you can create table, you can drop table, create function, you can insert, you can delete. All things you do is select. If you are in the hot standby mode. If you are in the warm standby mode, you can select it. In logical replication, when you create a slave, it is like a new instance, like a new master. You can do whatever you want. You can create index, you can create table, drop table, create function, insert, delete, update, select it, okay? You can do whatever you want. In streaming application, if you are using Postgres 9.5, you have to use same major version, okay? Minor version is okay, but the different major versions is not okay. You can't use it. In logical replication, if you are using Postgres 11, you can use Postgres 12 when it comes out. Or you can use Postgres 10, or you can use Postgres 11, it's the same version, okay? In streaming application, if you are using Linux on the master, you have to use Linux on the slave. You can't use Windows. In logical replication, if you use the Linux, you can use both, okay? Doesn't matter. Okay, I explained to you we have 2 main purposes for the streaming replication. First one is the high availability. Second one is the load balancing, right? We have different purposes in the logical replication. Some expected use cases. For example, we can use logical replication for the analytic purpose. I can get 2 tables from the master A, and I can get 1 table from the master B, and I can put it in the same database in DBC, and I can use this DBC for the analytic purpose. Even I can add some columns to that tables. Even I can add some additional index to that database, okay? Create new functions. It's up to me. Second expected use case of logical replication is we can sharing a subset of database. For example, we have a table in the DBC. We would like to share this table to my masters. Yes, we can do that with logical replication. As a third expected case is online upgraded. For example, I have master A and it uses Postgres 10. I would like to upgrade this, right? Online upgraded. All needs to do is I create a new database. I'm gonna install the Postgres 11, and I didn't cover that topic, but I'm gonna cover on the restrictions. We don't replicate the schema on logical replication. All things to do is you dump your schema on the Postgres 10, and you send the other side and restore it in the Postgres 11. And then you start for the logical replication for all tables, okay? And then you point out your replication to DB. In streaming replication, you know, it is very simple architecture. We have two main processes, vol sender and vol receiver. Vol receiver sends the vol, and vol sender receives the vol receiver caches the vol and writes it to PG vol file. Okay, it's very simple. But in logical replication, we have publication and subscription model. We're gonna create publication on the master and subscription on the slave, and we subscribe it. We also have vol sender, same as the streaming replication. We have logical replication launcher on the slave. It triggers apply worker. We're gonna send vol sender gets the vol and decoding the vol files and send to apply worker via the PG output plugin on the vol sender, okay? It is more complicated compared to streaming replication, logical replication. In streaming replication, we can just replicate in just one way, okay? Master to slave, slave to cascading slave, okay? Just one direction. Or we can add more slaves in here. Also, there's a one direction. In the logical replication, I'm gonna explain what is the publication and subscription. The publication, when I'm gonna create the master, exists in one database, okay? And the tables, we can add tables to that publication. Actually, publication contains data changes of the table. Also, we can create subscription, get changes from publication via the logical replication slot, okay? And subscription subscribe to publication. One publication can have multiple subscription. We also subscribe subscription 2 to add the publication 1. Also, we can create second publication in the same database or in the same server, okay? We can create another publication in the same database. And we can subscribe subscription 2 to new subscription. We can also do that. Even we can add one table to publication 2. We can add one table to many subscription, okay? And we can add more table to that publication also. We can create the slave A, and it has subscription, yeah, right? And get changes from the master. It also can send changes to other slave. We can do cascading replication like a streaming replication, okay? The logical replication can be async or sync, like a streaming replication. But we know the async, master is going on, and then slave servers keep track changes after a while. But the sync is a bit different because the master have to wait until the all subscription confirmation getting from the all subscription, even if there is no change on the subscription, okay? Under the heavy load, your response time is gonna be increased. Okay, for example, you have two tables, surname table on the DBA and the others table and DBB. Can you replicate the surname table to DBB and address table to DBA. Actually, yes, we can do that. We can create publication 1 on DBA and subscription 1 and DBB. And we can add that surname table on publication 1. And we can create publication 2 and subscription 2 on DBA. And we can add address table to publication, okay? We can do. Can we do bidirectional replication in logical replication? Actually, we can do that. We can't do the bidirectional replication. It is not allowed, okay? It does not replicate to itself. Okay, there is some limitation in Postgres 11, okay? We can do replicate the schema and DDL. I already talked about it. If you create a sum table on the master, you have to create your slave. We can't do the replicate the sequences. Sure, we can replicate the value produced by the sequences. But in case of failover, when you continue with the slave, you have to set the sequences value from the latest value of the master. Because the sequence value, it starts from the 1, from the slave, okay? You can replicate the value of the sequences. You can replicate large objects, like pictures. You only replicate to table, okay? You can replicate the materialized view, you can replicate the view. Okay, how to do the logical replication in Postgres? It's very easy. You're gonna set whole level to logical, and then you restart it. And then you connect to the database that you would like to replicate. For example, I would like to replicate just a table. I create a table. This important thing, I have to have replication identity, like a primary key or is the unique key, okay? You can also set all columns full as a replication identity, which is not efficient. I recommend you to create some primary keys, okay? You don't create that, you're gonna get actually your replication will be terminated. And we create the publication, and we add our table to that publication. And then we create a user, and we're gonna specify the password. And I'm gonna give the authentication for that table. And if it's the first time, I'm gonna give the also authentication for the schema, okay? And then we're gonna give the authentication to able to our slave servers connect to the master. Just this value. Our slave is the host. We're gonna give for all tables. It is gonna use the replication user. My slave is this IP. It's gonna be the username and password. And look at this. Our tables our database can be different, okay? We are using the database 1 in here, and I'm gonna use the database 2 in a different database. And I also can create the table, but it's gonna be the same name, okay? It have to be the same name, but the columns order should be different. Can be different. It doesn't matter for replication, okay? It's different order, it doesn't matter, okay? Columns. Also, you can add additional columns to that table. It's also okay. Okay, and then create a subscription. I'm gonna give some IP and then database and username and password. Okay, it is done. Replication is done. It is that simple. Okay. Okay, it is briefly, I'm gonna show the topology. We are getting N. We create a master, and we can read and write. We create a slave for read-only queries, for load balancing. And we are doing the cascading replication, okay, for the reporting server. And look at this. I'm gonna doing the logical replication and streaming replication at the same time, okay? I'm gonna create this slave for the analytic purpose, okay? The bad thing about it, you have to pay attention. Both sender in the master gonna decode all the WoW files from all WoW files from the WoW directory, okay? It is not just, even if you are doing the replication for one table, WoW sender gonna decode all WoW files. And it's gonna keep all changes in the memory. That's why you have to monitoring closely CPU and memory, okay? Okay, we have some important tables for monitoring. I would like to show it from on the terminal, okay? We have some tables for the master. You just start replication, give replication slot, and then give you replication tables. Okay. This is our master DB, and first of all, okay, I'm gonna check the process. You see, there is a two wall sender processes. One of them is for the streaming replication. The other one is the logical replication. You see, I'm gonna create the replica for the streaming replication. It is the slave for the streaming replication. It is using the port. And I'm going to use the Firat rep user for logical replication. And this is the actually my slave server of the logical replication. Okay? And I'm going to show you it is my physical replication server. There's a process is the wall receiver, right? You already see it. We're going to solve the wall receiver process. It says the streaming, and it's going to show the last wall location, okay? And I'm going to look at the logical standby. I'm going to show you in here the worker, apply worker. Yeah, there's the apply worker. Yeah, you're going to see the apply worker in here, and it's going to see the subscription number. Okay, we're going to check in the master, we can check. For example, when we run this query, pg start replication, we're going to see the two rows. It means we have two wall sender process on the master. Okay, you're going to see. You're going to see the client IPs, ports, and it is states. And send LNS means the last wall location going to send on the connection. It means write LNS is the last wall location applied to disk by standby. It is last wall location flush into the disk by standby. Reply is the last wall location flush reply into the DB. Okay, you're gonna see all these things. Okay, you're gonna see the replication slot. I'll just one replication slot for the logical replication. You're gonna see in here. And you're going to see the publication tables. And my publication name, it is the schema. It is the replication table. We have just 5 minutes left. And when we connect to our logical server, we're going to see our publications. Okay, you're going to see the two publications, but I'm going to disable one of them. And you're going to see this tick. It is the actually active one. You're going to see the slot name and publication name. It's kind of issues. I would like to explain all of them, but there's actually small game. There's no time for the slave game. I would like to play this game. Okay. Do you have smartphones? Actually, it's my end of my presentation. We're gonna play a small game, okay, with the code. Could you all of you guys connect to this link, please, on your web, code.it. After you log in, code.it, you're going to enter this pin, please. Nobody comes yet. And then you're going to give some nickname. Okay, there's 2 players. 12. What's more? Anybody haven't signed in yet? You gonna sign in? Okay, let's we're gonna start. Okay, I have 5. Okay, 21. I have 5 small questions, and I'm gonna give some gifts to you guys according to your success. Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay. Okay, can we do streaming replication and logical replication concurrently? Okay. No. Yes. Sometimes. You didn't cover this topic. 2, 1. Yes. Yeah, it's true. You have to be fast and you have to be correct to be placed in the first place, okay? If you use the Postgres 9.5 in the master for streaming replication, which version can't be your slave? 9.6, 10, 9.5, none of them. some people missing. Lorenzo, who is Lorenzo? Oh. I can create index, but I can select queries from slave. What kind of replication I am doing? Logical replication, streaming replication, PG bearing replication, none of them. Yeah, you're right, none of them. Who's that number? Okay, next question. In the logical replication, can we use slave as both subscription and publication? Why not? You just create sub on slave. Definitely not. None of them. Why not? Okay. Luis. Luis? Who's the first one? You? This is the last question. Why do we use streaming replication? High availability, online upgraded, load balancing, and analytic purpose. It can be more than one true question. High availability, yeah. Okay, analytic purpose now. Who's Ruby? Robbie. Wait, could you come to here, Robbie, Luis, this number, and TJ? I'm going to give you some gifts. Who's the other guy? Top 4. Top 4 come to here. Is it 3, 4? Thank you for listening to me.